Today on sexual nature. There is no doubt that our media, meaning our music, our movies, our television shows, most forms of entertainment, use things such as sex, violence, and drugs. Is it because this is what we as humans find entertaining? Is it because what sells? Because, these producers want obviously to make money, so sell at any cost. Point being, any of those, it is no doubt that it is glorified in media. You hear songs about all the time about having a pretty woman, and then going into detail about how she looks and the things that you do. And in movies, it is also quite common to have attractive women, attractive men, in outfits that are provoking to art, sexual images of what looks good and what we would desire. The more a person watches or subjects themselves to something, the easier it becomes to entertain the idea, and then the easier it becomes to accept the idea. Like the bandwagon effect. The more people doing something, the easier it is to think it's good, acceptable, cool, whatever word you want to use. So, putting sex, violence, and drugs in the spotlight, mostly just sex and drugs, but violence too. Putting that in the spotlight makes it easier for people to want it, to seek it, and in their own mind come to terms that they aren't doing wrong. I love a good entertaining story, or epic, but intimidating what we see, or imitation of what we see, is not always a good idea. Especially when younger minds watch these things and they enjoy it because it's a good story, but they enjoy it to such a manner that they wish to implement it in their own lives to seek the same enjoyment that they received from watching or listening to it. And so on the topic of sexual nature being glorified, and if you have a television or a computer, chances are you're gonna find yourself into these forms of entertainment that project these feelings onto people. Then people wish to go out and get things that they hear about that is so good. So what is sexual nature? Why is sexual nature? Well, I think there are three main things that define a person's sexual nature. They do it for connection to a person. They do it because it is a pleasurable experience. If you are a healthy, average person with no sexual trauma or what's that one? Persisting orgasm disorder or something like that, where you have it all the time. Chances are next to 100% that you are going to enjoy sexual nature. And the most primal reason of sexual nature is to keep the species alive. Now, there are more than one way to feel good besides engaging sexual activities. Many things: exercise, being in the outdoors, hot baths, swimming in the ocean or lakes or bodies of water. I mean, laughing is like my top thing. And cleaning, not just like dirty cleaning, but like organizing, cleaning the things you have in your life. Because when things are more in order, you feel better about your surroundings. You know, if you have a messy room and everything's all over the floor and things aren't where you would want them to be because you're just too busy, preoccupied, or lazy, then room doesn't look so nice. And when you look at your room, you think, oh, my room doesn't look so nice. But when things look nice and you clean it and you take that time and that effort, then you can say to yourself, like, yeah, I did that. I made it look good. And you feel good about what you did. And another two of my favorites, something a little harder for us because it's about expressing and opening yourself up, if anyone's there to observe it. Dancing and music. It's an excellent way to feel good. I mean, who doesn't like music? Who doesn't like music? It's like music and food, man. It's like everything people love. If you're the average, healthy, normal person, you will enjoy these things. And there are also many ways to connect to people besides physically engaging in the sexual nature. Simply find common ground with the people you wish to know better, to know more, to be closer to. When you find this common ground, such as enjoying the same games or the same sports, or if you guys play music, that'd be radical. But when you find the common ground, share the common ground, do those things together. Say, I'll play tennis with you, and you guys play tennis, and before you know, you're gonna feel more connected. You know, you gotta open up to people. You know, if you're having serious conversations about life and the universe and, you know, conversations like that, a person will feel more connected to you if you let who you really are show instead of trying to hide and bottle up what you are on the inside. Not saying it's easy, but I'm saying people, when they see that, it really opens the door for themselves to open up to you too. And another thing, is doing new and exciting things. If you're into, like, you know, adrenaline. If you've never been skydiving, I guarantee that will be wicked fun. And the people sharing that experience will be like, wow, wow, wow. Like, in their head, they'll just be thinking, wow, that was incredible. I don't advise sexual activity outside of a commitment with the person that you feel will be with you probably till death, is because it's a really big thing to give that part of yourself to another person, to let them in like that. And then there's also a chemical thing with it. But the thing is, say that the relationship doesn't last. The emotional part of giving yourself to that person and the chemical part of giving yourself to that person, along with the heartbreak of a ended relationship, will absolutely just make it so much harder. If it was just that one thing, it was just a heartbreak. But now you got, you know, like a physical and a spiritual heartbreak going on. And it's just real nasty. You don't want to go through that. And it's hard to withhold and take control of your own feelings. And something as primal, something has been subjected to ourselves since we have been young. It's like it's just in the back of our mind, and it's something that we desire and we seek out. And then when we're thinking about it, We're thinking, is this okay or is this not okay? And if we can convince ourselves that we are okay with it, then we can seek out and desire it. But if there's that lone voice that says, hey, I don't think this is the best idea, it's a lot of risk. You might want to listen to that lone voice telling you. And on the more sensitive matter of sexual nature outside of the traditional male and female relationship, it's simply, in just to say this one way, is biologically incorrect, as it does not accomplish something that can only be gained that one way of a homosexual or anything outside of the traditional sexual nature. Meaning there are ways outside of sexual nature to feel good. There's ways outside of sexual nature to connect to a person. I do not condemn or hate anyone who disagrees with my way of thought. I just see it as biologically incorrect. Like, you love a person a lot. Yeah, I want to have a sexual relationship with you to show you how much I really love you. Well, I mean, I love my mom. Like, my mom is like the most important person in my life, even though I have a hard time telling my parents how much I really appreciate and love them for all the good things they do for me. But even though I feel this greatest of loves for them, it does not mean that I engage in a sexual relationship. And there are people who've had sex with intermediate family members, from sisters to brothers to mothers and fathers. Egypt and Greece were well known, not well known, but in the history of Egypt and Greece, the practices of incest and the marriages was a common practice and accepted. How would you treat a person or feel about or see if they openly told you, with all honesty, that they are a believer and practitioner of incest? Even though I think it's illegal in the United States, doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Would you treat them the same who has a colorful view of sexuality? The main thing I wanted to discuss was, then why does a person feel so strongly inclined to another person into such an extreme manner that we wish to connect to them on the deepest level we can imagine, which most people view as sexual relationship? The way human beings feel about each other, in a good point of view, is we feel the love for each other, the spirit of love that is inside all of us, young or old, girl or boy. There is the spirit of love that is inside of us. Some people may choose not to use it. They may choose to be cold, away from people, and mean, so that all they can feel is hate in their hearts. Where there are those, regardless of who they look like, have this wonderful spirit inside them. And most commonly, when people have nice things, or just anything wonderful, a loving person will want to share. So, two loving people, young, old, whatever, have just the love they want to share. They want to be connected. They want to feel close to a person. And sexual relationship is a simple, desirable means of sharing this love that we feel inside with each other. Once more, I do not advise on sexual relationship with anybody until a long-lasting commitment has been established, because the heartbreak, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually, with the person can just be absolutely devastating, and it's not really worth the risk of some things, of the connection and the feel good that you may be searching for can be found elsewhere, in probably even a stronger connection and stronger feeling good than just a sexual relationship. And I don't advise. Well, I respect free will, and I want you to be who you are is a free will, because that's what we are made for, is to exercise our right of free will. But as I view incest as biologically incorrect, not saying spiritually correct or not, just saying it's biologically incorrect, that I also view anything outside of the traditional sexual nature to be biologically incorrect. Not saying spiritually correct or not, but I am putting those two in the same biologically incorrect category. I do not condemn anyone. I just want us to be the best human race that we can possibly be, instead of hating, pushing away, and self-centered desires that I think our state of the world is very much in so right now. God bless.